Hey everybody, I know it's been a while since I've updated the channel and life gets busy. You find that you're running from one thing to the next and you end up with so much on your plate that you don't have enough time to get everything done. And I'm sure many of you are like this, and you just find that your time gets so eaten up and so taken up with everything that goes on. Trust me, it happens with pastors too. And one of the hardest things when you have a life that's very busy, that gets overscheduled, is finding time to make sure that you spend it with God. It's easy for us to wake up in the morning and know, okay, I've got all of this stuff to do. I have to get this done. I have to get that done. I've got to make sure all my stuff at work is done, work all the hours at work, and then I got to get home and cook and clean and laundry and get dressed and ready to go. And I've got this other meeting to do, and I've got to meet those other people. And we end up really, really busy trying to get all this stuff done. And then at the end of the day, we collapse into bed. And if we think about it, we go, oh, hey, did I spend time in prayer today? Oh, did I get any Bible? Oh, you know what? I'll get it tomorrow. And maybe we try and set our alarm early in the morning. I'm not a morning person. And that alarm goes off and you're just like, oh, 30 more minutes of sleep. I'll get it later. And you roll over, go back to sleep, or you go to bed early because you're exhausted, and you get one day without, and then 2 days, and then a week, and then 2 weeks, and then a month. And before you know it, you have gone all of this time without having your time with God, without getting any prayer in, without getting any word in, without getting the music in. Sunday mornings, it becomes tough to get up and go to church. Saturday nights, and you just get overwhelmed and overloaded. And then spiritually, you start feeling dry and dead and barren. And you start questioning, does God care about me? Does God love me? No, I must not be that important to God. My worries are pitiful. They don't matter to him because he's so busy and I'm just this little peon. And we start thinking that maybe God doesn't love us. God doesn't notice us. God isn't caring about what we're doing or what's going on in our life. God isn't hearing our prayers because our prayers are maybe 2 seconds at dinner. And our spiritual life dries up and dies because we haven't had any time. I know, I get it. Trust me, you'd be surprised how many pastors struggle with this same thing too. And we're supposed to be up there preaching the word on Sundays. And how do you get up and you preach about somebody and something that you haven't been able to spend any time with? And it's very easy with a pastor. We've got meetings constantly. If somebody gets sick, we're out at the hospital. People are going through troubles. We're there to meet them and take care of them. And we pour out constantly. And we forget sometimes to take that time for ourselves. Well, how do we fix that? How do we make up for that? I mean, for me, I've got a 2-minute commute down to church, so I don't even have that kind of block of time. My wife, she's got about a 25-minute drive each way, and so she will use that time when she's driving, rather than turn on the radio, rather than put on music, she actually has her phone play her scriptures for the day. So on her way to work and on her way home, she's getting the Bible read to her off of her phone. And there's a lot of apps that'll do that. The YouVersion Bible app, Gateway Bible will do the same thing. And there's several others you can pick up that way. But sometimes we actually have to force our way into making time. For me, I actually have to schedule it on my calendar, because if I don't schedule it on my calendar, I will forget. I will get so caught up in stuff. And so I actually have to block on my calendar, this is the time you're going to spend in your devotion today. Turn off your phone, turn off your computer, turn off your TV, and go spend some time. And that allows me to get in some of that time to pray. Because what I find is if I'm not making time, well, time will find its way of eating up my time. If I don't make myself do it, if I don't find other things to cut out, well, then I won't have the time to do it. It just gets caught up in other stuff. And let's face it, life and the devil are great at doing that to you and sucking up your time so you can't do what's really important. And we will find, if we can make that time each day, gotta love when motorcycles go by. I love that Harley. But if we can make our time each day to spend with God, He will reward us. We will find our spiritual life will improve. We will find that where we thought we were barren and dead and dry, that all of a sudden we can sense God's presence again. The more time that we spend with Him, the closer we will be, the more we will know Him. But we've got to make an actual commitment sometimes. And that's tough. Jesus refers to that in some senses when He talks about taking up our cross to follow Him. Now, when He was talking about taking up our cross, He was actually talking about taking our own desires, everything that we want, everything that we think of ourselves, and basically, essentially putting it to death, sacrificing it, and forgetting it, and instead seeking after Him or pursuing Him. And what it means is that we sometimes have to take those other things that intrude in our life, and we have to set them aside and put them away and forget about them while we make sure that we spend that time with Him. It's sorting out our priorities a lot of times. It's funny because we will be so busy, and yet somehow we find time to stream that show on Netflix that we really like, or to watch that YouTube channel that is really cool, or to read that other book that is just fantastic, and you go through this other book and you end up forgetting to read the book. We find other things that take up our time, our hobbies. For me, it's genealogy. I love history. And then I'll sit there and I'll spend half a day on genealogy, and I went, oh, wait a minute. I kind of forgot something else. So we've got to find other ways to squeeze it in. And it won't be ways that we want to do sometimes, a lot of times. But you'll find that, as Jesus put it, those who are willing to lose their life for His sake will gain it. When we're willing to sacrifice our lives and the stuff around and those other things that we want, we will gain a new life, a new perspective, a revitalization, a new joy, that He will come and give us a life that we haven't experienced and understood sometimes in a long time. He'll refocus us. He'll re-energize us. When we're feeling beat up and down and depressed and worn out and exhausted, He will come in and bless us and raise us up again. I love the way that Isaiah puts it, that we'll be like calves let from the stall. If you've ever seen a calf that has been enclosed in a space, when we were down in Florida, we used to do this Bethlehem Village at Christmas. And we had live animals, and one of them every year that we got was a calf, usually about a week or two old, a fairly newborn one. And we had a little pen that we would keep it in that was probably about 10 feet square or so. And this calf would spend a couple weeks in that pen while we took care of it and used it. And then after we were all done, we would walk this calf over to a much larger area where we also kept the sheep and some other animals. And I will never forget one time that we walked this calf out to that, and he walks into this bigger stall that's probably about 100 feet on each side. And he stops and he looks around, and then he just starts springing and jumping for joy, and he's so happy. He's free. And that's the same kind of thing that we will get when we spend that time with Jesus, when we let Him speak into our lives, when we let Him refocus us, when we let Him change our perspective. We'll be like calves up from the stall. We'll have a joy. So spend some time. Find a way. Find something that maybe you're spending more time on that you should. Sacrifice it to make that time with Him. And I promise you, you won't regret it. God bless, and thanks so much for watching.